Hey, my loves. I want to talk about something that was on my mind the other day. No, that was yesterday. But I had so much on my mind because I was thinking like I always do. And I almost forgot about this. And I wrote a little note to myself. But I didn't even write the note in the right place and I just came across it. But anyway, that's because I was doing multiple things at once. But I was thinking about how people with a little color to their skin, like you and I, right? Always arguing about something, always fighting. And I know other people from other ethnic backgrounds are like, what is wrong with them? They so problematic. The people with the little permanent tans, they always like have a problem. They always yelling at each other. They so angry. So angry. What's wrong with them? We just gonna stay away from them. That's what the people from the other ethnic backgrounds say. They gonna stay away from people with the permanent tans because they think the chocolate people are crazy. But that's not all the way true. There's always two sides to the story, and I think there's more to that story. Well, actually, I know that there's more to the story. So I had a flashback of me reading a specific book, but I cannot remember what that book was called. But I remember what I read. And in the book, I wish I remember, I tried to look for this book so many times. And I remember I remember the author's name, last name beginning with a B, or it was either the name of the book ended with a B. But I can't remember. I can't find the book. But I do remember what I read. And it was basically saying how when slavery was going on back in the day, it was saying that the slave masters would incentivize other slaves to capture slaves that ran. Okay? And I just feel like that same energy is intrinsically within us now. And it has been maintained. That same energy has been maintained through the media, like through music, and primarily through music though. And also through stereotypical type movies, films. Okay? So let me just read you this part. I'm still going to continue to look for this book that I'm talking about, because it was really talking about how slave masters used the Bible to manipulate slaves, and it was getting really deep into the truth of how Jim Crow taught these slave masters to use the Bible as a weapon. Okay? So it says here, in some cases, slave owners incentivize enslaved people to capture other enslaved people. Okay? So often through promises of rewards, freedom, or even a reduction in their own labor obligations. These rewards could include coveted items like clothes, trinkets, or extra rations. The system of slavery itself was built on a foundation of dehumanization and the denial of basic human rights, making it possible for some slave owners to use their tactics to maintain control and increase their workforce. So, basically, we've been intrinsically, like it's intrinsic because it's in our lineage, not unless you break that curse, but that's one of those familial curses that is on our people. And if you don't open your eyes to see what's really going on, you'll be stuck in that same cycle, that same karmic cycle of continuing to have this desire to fight against your brothers and sisters and be jealous and be envious and do everything that's going to diminish your character and diminish the strength of your ancestral lineage. Okay? So that was the way to, it's always about, it's always a tactic that is used by survival. It's a tactic that derives from survival and just wanting more, like having a desire to want more. So the more that you want more, and the more that they could put the images of what you want in your face, then it makes you want it. And if you don't have the means to get it, then it's going to cause you to feel as though you will do anything for it, regardless of if it is put your brother and sister down. So then we start to dehumanize each other in order to get these things that mean nothing, or to obtain a certain level of wealth, recognition, anything that means something to a person that is lacking in some area. And it's usually something that's physical. It's usually something at face value. It's never anything that's in depth, because the more one puts most energy onto focusing on external rewards, the more they forget about their soul and spirit, and getting acquainted with themselves to then recognize what the right way to live actually is. Now that mindset is now upheld with continuing to show you like name brands and celebrities with name brands on and stuff like that, as well as the music. And the lyrics of the music dehumanize. And that's what is in the contract for the artist to speak of. Things that, or topics that cause chaos and friction and fighting between those that many feel are just angry people that just want to fight. But it's all been this way since that whole slavery operation has been that way, because it's been implanted in the minds of the people. And then that same mindset, it continues on generation after generation. It's like every man fend for himself because of the conditions of the environment. So remember I mentioned, lack of opportunities, feeling like you don't have enough, and then you continue to see what it is that you want. So you'll get into that survival mode and you'll do anything to get it, regardless of if it's putting your brother and sister down, because that's what you've been trained to do. And these are the things that people keep talking about, the things that are happening at the surface, but they're forgetting about where it came from. We must remember to go deeper and to ask deeper questions to get the answer, because then what you see now will make sense, and you wouldn't be so quick to label a person as just like an angry person or someone who is confrontational, because it takes time. If you weren't blessed to choose differently or have a different type of family that kind of shows you different, or if you just have this, you were aligned in the stars the right way to walk out of the karmic cycle because you know it's wrong and you don't want to. Not everybody has that sight. Not everybody was aligned in the stars like that to be able to walk out of karmic cycles easily. Karmic cycles are difficult because they are like vices in a way. How can I say what I'm thinking? Yeah, they are like vices. They are they are the shadow aspect of ourselves materialized. Because that is a part of what causes the mental war that we go through when we are experiencing the dark night of the soul. And like W.E.B. Du Bois said, he spoke about double consciousness. So when we take that into account as well, let me just bring up a quick synopsis of what he said. Okay, when we take double consciousness and put that in the forefront of our thoughts, we will then realize that many permanently tanned people like me and many of you that are watching me have a double consciousness, because many of you work for those who come from the opposing ethnic background. That, not saying everyone from different ethnic backgrounds are bad, because that's not true. However, they're still a part of that lineage, many of them, right? So, but don't say they're not all bad. So don't put everybody in the same category, because that's not fair and it's not true. But it is what it is. And so many people code switch and they act different around certain people, around different people. So if they get around white people, then they'll act differently. But when they're around black people, then they'll speak in their slang, and you know, we speak like we speak at home. But we know that if you go to work speaking slang, you won't be understood. You'll be misunderstood, but that's just a part of us. We have that within us because that's just who we are. So the double consciousness, it's also touching the idea that I grazed a little bit when it comes to putting things in front of you that exemplify luxury or something that is to be desired or sought after, which is usually material things, you know. But in slavery times, it was rations, it was trinkets, and they said it was clothing. But in these times, it's clothing. It could be looked at as food too, like food that's more expensive. And trinkets, that's jewelry. I mean, it's the same thing now. People want all those things because it makes them look like glamorous and wonderful. And it makes them feel like they are a part of a group that has surpassed a certain level of poverty. So it makes them feel better, but the real problem is not fixed, which is actually having the wealth that you would like to have, that makes you feel more important in society, I guess, is what I want to say. But I feel like that's also a part of the double consciousness. And so right now, there's a play on that still through our music, through our films, and through what we see on TV all the time. It's still a play on the consciousness and many black people just wanting to be seen or viewed in a specific way. But this is all a part of the game. Once you detach yourself from having a desire for these things, then you break out of the matrix and you're not even a part of it anymore. But the more you continue to desire, how can I put it? The more you can continue to desire what doesn't really matter in life the most, the more you get stuck in the game. You get stuck in the trick. Okay? So just thinking about that, look at all of the control you actually have, but many of you might not realize you have it. Okay, so I'm going to get to W.E.B. Du Bois coined the term double consciousness to describe the internal conflict experienced by African Americans in a racialized society. It refers to the feeling of having to view oneself through the eyes of both one's own identity and the dominant. You heard that? That's what I'm talking about. So many black people and people, you know, with a permanent tan refer to the feeling of having to view oneself through the eyes of both their own identity and the dominant. Now, the dominant would be the ones who have excuse me, who have encouraged this what do I want to call it? This flawed way of thinking, and it was taught even in an abstract way. Well, kind of like, actually, it's in a direct way. It's also taught in schools just by the truth of the history not being told it as a whole. It's also encouraged in the school system. So you see how there's different aspects of life that keep on teaching and training the same thought. You see what I'm saying? Okay. Often prejudiced perspectives of the white world. The dual perspective creates a sense of two-ness, a constraint awareness of being both American and black, leading to a fragmented and sometimes conflicting sense of self. So what really solves this problem is looking at people for who they are by a soul and spirit level, not by the color of the skin. It doesn't really matter. However, just because there are individuals in the past that chose to dehumanize people of color from all over the world in order to dominate by control, it has caused a imbalance, and it has caused us to break away from divine alignment, because so many people are looking outside of themselves as opposed to inside of themselves to get the answers of the truth. And I can say that for both white people and people of color, because now it's to the point where what is happening in society, all this chaos, is so unnecessary. And if you just really pay attention, you see what's really going on. And it's all about domination and control. It's not about peace and sovereignty in any way. It's about domination and control. So now everybody is trying to dominate and control each other. That whole ideology is stuck in everybody. So now everybody's fighting. That's what it's all about. Everybody want to be the best. Nobody can recognize others for their beauty and wonderful attributes to themselves, no matter what color they are now. You know, because I want to look past the color. I have to talk about the color in order to get the point across. But at the same time, it's really about the soul and the state of the heart. Like, is your heart pure? Are you a damn demon? Do you want to control people for your own messed up purposes? You know? So I just wanted to bring up, because I don't think I ever spoke about this in this way. There's a massive impact on self-identity right now, and it's causing the world to go towards destruction again. And I think the world is tired of being destroyed. I think the world would like to be pretty and like grow, and I don't think the world is not, see, it's not even the world, it's the people of the world that cause the world the destruction. Now, if the people would get closer to their self-identity and recognizing that everything that they need, no matter what color they are, is inside of them, all of this bickering and hoo and hawing and arguing and unnecessary would stop. Look, you see how simple it is and how difficult it is? Because this is a whole bunch of different generations thinking the same thing for so long that it's deep in there. It's interwoven, sewn in there with a bunch of disease. And now it's like, how you cut the disease out? How you get it out of there? It's like, oh, we got to just destroy the whole thing. See, that's why the world has to keep getting destroyed, because this same ideology, it keeps on getting stuck, and it's stuck way too deep. And the problem just seeps in a little more, and a little more, and a little more. For some reason, I just saw in my mind like something being spilled on a like a chair, but a cushion chair. There's a name that I want to use for it, but I can't remember what, upholstery? I believe it's called upholstery. I haven't used that word in a while, but you know, there's different layers to upholstery. When there's like a chair, it has the fabric on the top and the cushion, different levels of cushion in it to make it fluff and comfy, right? But if you spill something on that, you're gonna need like a steamer and one of those there's like a steamer and a vacuum to be able to get it all out. But it's just making me think about the depth of this diseased ideology that's within our society. It's just like a big comfy chair with all this cushion and the upholstery and like red wine being spilled on it. It's going to go deep. It's not just going to be on the surface. So that's what we're experiencing. I just gave that as an example because that's the first thing that came to my mind to help paint a picture of you seeing how deep it is and how it's generational. So this is actually one of the most significant generational curses that we all have been cursed by, not just people with the permanently tan skin. It's also people from all other ethnic backgrounds thinking that these same thoughts and fighting against one another instead of being able to work together and create some beautiful things because there's this ideology. See, that's all I really want to say, you know, but this is really getting in our way. We really just want heaven on earth, but it's so hard for it to stay. We get it right a little bit, and then the time goes by, and then something else happens, and then we took 10 steps, or we took 2 steps forward, then we take 10 steps back. And this keeps on happening on repeat over and over again. So now what that tells me is we need to quantum leap out of this space because it's old, it's tired, and it's unfortunate and unnecessary. There's a lot wrong here, and I know everybody sees it, but I just feel like we're so distracted that everybody just looks at the surface of things and doesn't really think about why so much. It's just like, oh, that's just how it is. No, it's not supposed to be like that, first of all. Second of all, because we know what it is, it doesn't have to repeat itself. You know that term, history repeats itself? History only repeats itself if we allow it to, because remember, we are the stewards of the earth. History only repeats itself if we, me and you, allow it to. Because if we already know what happened, we should be trying to put our all into stopping it from happening again. Okay, so that's all I want to say about this topic. Because it gets on my nerves, as you can see. Certain things get to me, and this is one of them. Because I can see it clearly, and I don't feel like everybody does. Or I don't even feel like everybody, maybe some people don't even care. I don't know. I do. I think about it. It's because I just know how beautiful we are, and our minds, many minds, are very distorted. So the distortion of minds from all ethnicities, from all ethnic groups, being distorted is causing chaos, and it's causing history to repeat itself. So if you could think of anything that could be done, what would you do? If you could actually do a thing, what would that thing be to stop history from repeating itself? That's my question to you. You know, just a little question. You don't gotta put too much. You can put a little bit, you can put a lot. Whatever you want. You can say whatever you like. Okay? If you would like to book a coaching call with me, or a reading, or purchase any of my books, you can. Go to www.milkhoneyRose.org to do so, my loves, and I will see you in the next message.